Welcome to We Use Our Powers for Good. I'm Meg.
I'm
This is my
Dory.
sister Dor. And we are talking about boundaries.
hmm
And today we're talking about what it means to have a voice
Right. Or literally not have a voice.
or not a
Yeah.
voice.
So we're the kind of what we're looking at is what we thought was advocating for ourselves when we were young. Well, hello, Lulu. This is Lulu. She likes to just like get her needs met, which she's doing right now.
Snuggle.
But the ways that we thought we were advocating for ourselves when we were young was more about being loud and in someone's face and sometimes mean. But that's what is that the cat?
For sure.
Okay, so then I also have an annoying cat who's doing something inside, but we'll see.
He's darling. He's
And then we'll talk about kind of how we overcompensated for what the culture and the climate looked like, and then how you're trying to get your needs met as a woman, and then we'll talk about like a healthier way to do that. To do that now. So, do you have a story to share?
Yeah, I mean, so many stories. I think about, well, my first thought was like the mustache story.
Mm.
I mean, there were, I always
We should
was,
create some context
I will.
that we're Mexican, half Mexican, right?
Sure,
Yeah,
sure.
yeah,
So I looked like Frida Kahlo until I had
yeah.
like LASIK and laser and all the things. So I had one eyebrow and an equally lovely mustache, which when I have too much sun, it comes out in melasma. But anyway, I digress. So I would go. I think it was junior high. I was struggling with my mustache for years and years. So from like probably sixth grade till eighth grade, maybe ninth grade, maybe 10th grade. But I would bleach it. I would do all the things. Mom was crazy conservative. And so she wouldn't allow me to shave. She wouldn't allow me. So I'd have to do these things.
But there also wasn't laser, and there wasn't.
No, no, no,
No,
no, no. But like she wouldn't let me get them waxed. She wouldn't
sure.
let me wax my face. She wouldn't let me. She would just say no. And I'd say, I'm getting teased. This doesn't feel good. I was getting teased by the boys. And so I
Our
would,
brothers.
right.
Right.
And so I don't know how I got there, and I bleached the mustache, and then the boys were like, "Meg, I love your blonde mustache. It's great." And it was like,
Gosh.
so it was this
Oh,
constant like home school,
that's terrible.
and you were visiting. I think it was Easter actually. And anyway, I was at school, and this group of boys would every day come up and be like, "Nice mustache, Meg," and it always caught me off guard. It was never at the same time, and I would just be like, nothing.
Right.
And I came home and told you, and you're like, just tell them, jealous much?
I remember saying that to you.
And I was like, jealous much? And she was like, yeah, they probably can't grow facial hair yet. So they probably actually are jealous. And so the next day I went to school and they were like, nice mustache, Brown. And I was like, jealous much? And they were like, that was it.
Yeah.
From that day forward, nobody teased me about my
That was
mustache.
it.
Yeah.
And that probably is a great theme for the generation that we grew up in. It was just so women were so sexualized, and we weren't, like be be seen and not heard. And especially as women, that one of the defense mechanisms that I developed was just throwing shit in people's face. Like, I'm gonna say something that's gonna stop you in your tracks, and then you're gonna leave me
Oh,
alone.
yeah.
Right. So I didn't have a way, and some of this is a lot of it is culture, right? I didn't have a way to look at someone and be like, that thing you said was so rude. And why are you looking at my breast when you're talking to me? I'm 15. Like, right? And I'm navigating all these things. So I would just be a total colossal dick face, which I was for quite a bit of my young life.
Same.
But it gave me a indirect boundary,
Yeah.
and created space around me so I could like survive,
Right.
right? But I also reflect on that. I'm like, that was kind of like what women had to do.
Still. I mean,
For sure. Oh gosh. For
I
sure.
mean, I think of when from, well, I know, high school through college and going out and, people drinking and that community
Right.
and the different ways. I remember when I first was going out, it was like, oh God, I'd have to use the force and swear and be really
Right.
aggressive and very, like
Right.
just lead with all this masculine energy to
Right.
deflect
Right.
men.
Right.
And then as I aged, it was like, oh my gosh, this is so much energy. But to just morph in like this way of how do I get them to leave me alone the quickest?
Right.
You know, and then I hear so many women talking about, well, you wait, at some point you're gonna feel like you don't exist in a room.
Sure.
And I'm like, I don't know, that would feel kind of lovely
Yeah,
with
maybe.
how much, you know, attention I never wanted came.
Right. Well, unwanted attention,
Unwanted
for
attention.
sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think back, and I think a lot of people that maybe knew me, they just thought I was a dick, right? That's kind of how oh gosh, she was really tough, or she was
Yeah.
in your face. Well, I was just trying to keep
Right.
people out of my space.
Or they'd be like, oh, you're a feminist.
Right. It's like, oh my gosh, like you
Shut up.
literally label everything that I'm doing and make it seem bad and wrong, and then I got to defend myself. No. So, just the awareness of that, and that it is a thing, and you're right, it still is a thing. And I know you're similar. I've surrounded myself by people that I'm not in that a ton. I'm not having to be a jerk to get my way.
Yeah.
But I'm going to
And
give you an example.
right, right. No, I was saying, and I've learned to use my voice.
Yes.
Right. It's like, and I absolutely feel this journey of like how, and I still, right, I might be on a, train somewhere or doing something out in an Uber or a Lyft or something, and I'm like, so not interested in having this conversation.
Right. Right. And so that's some of the we use our powers for good, the title of the podcast. Is there are plenty of times you don't think I could get up in someone's face about what's happening, but it's like, wait a minute.
Mm-hmm.
How can I be a lovely human here and get my needs met, which is more honoring for me
Yeah.
too, right? But I can't always get myself there. Yeah, but I have an example from this past weekend. So, long story short, we're meeting some new people that are new for us, and they're ultimately close to people in our lives. So I'm trying to be respectful and thoughtful, but it's new, and so the it would be the grandma of the people that own this house. She put together this Easter egg hunt, and she really wanted the kids to participate. And one of my kids is like all over any social anything. He's like on board. And then I've got another kid, another child that not child, another young person that like it wouldn't even matter. I think if it was out my family, she'd be like, nope. So this grandma comes in and she's like, okay, everyone, you have to do the Easter egg hunt. And she looked at my daughter and said it to her. My daughter was like, no, thank you. And she's like, you don't have an option. You have to do it. It's mandatory. And I put my shoulder out in front of my daughter. I'm like, no. And then she went at it again. And I'm like, no. So I was much more firm and much more kind of like
Yeah.
mama bear, or like a bird puffing up, which I'm not used to. But also, she's in that generation of what would have been lovely is if she could have said, and she doesn't have these tools, you guys, I put so much energy into this Easter egg hunt, and I would love if everyone would participate because it would make my heart sing. And we did this when I was a kid, or whatever.
Sure.
Whatever her story is. If she could have said that, we would have been like, yeah, let's go out there. But instead, she came in with control and force.
So then what happened?
She backed off. And so later on, I went and approached her I mean, this was in a group of like 10 people when she was like up in my grill, which is how I would describe it. I came up to her later and I said, I just want to reconnect about what you said. I said, I get that it's really important to you. I said, we never met any of you before, and this is not a familiar space. And I, as a mom of a daughter, respect my daughter's voice and her space. And she said no. So the answer is no. And I said, and it's that simple. It has nothing to do with you. But so I didn't go do that to like.
Sure, but what was her response?
She was like, oh, she's like, sure, 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 and was just brushing it off. But which is fine. But I also was being intentional that I'm going to see these people again, and I was trying to meet her where she was at. So yeah. I used my powers for good, right? But it also was interesting then when this woman walked out, and my daughter was like, I'm like, yeah, good for you for saying what you want. She's like, well, I'm also sitting right next to you, and I know that you've got my back, and I'm like, right, which that's like we could sit and talk about that for a month, right? But it's interesting, like that literally just happened 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Where I'm having to use my like.
Yeah, and I think some people sit in that small space always to not step forward.
Yeah, but it makes sense. Like we talk about this every few episodes, like the contextualization. No one has ever sat her down.
Yeah.
Gave her tools, gave her context, like truly had she shared what that Easter egg hunt meant to her,
right,
we all would have been probably moved to tears.
For sure.
Right, and done the things. But instead, I got to get my mama bear. No one wants to see that on Easter morning.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so.
Win-win. And she also saw you model it, so perhaps this woman's next experience she might be able to.
Yeah, so, then if I care to next year, because I'm a kind, thoughtful human, next year I could put it in my database and pull it out to be like, hey, so and so, I remember last year this was really important to you. Would you tell us why?
For sure.
So invite her into that, which, I didn't have the energy to do that because I didn't know what was happening until it was upon us. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But so that's a healthy way. A healthy way to advocate is when you're little to have your parents do it,
For sure.
which is fair. She's in middle school. That's
For
my
sure.
responsibility, right?
Right.
But I also gave her a minute, which she did, and then
Yeah.
yeah,
And as an adult now, I think constant meditation helps you stay in a calmer space.
yeah,
So when these elevated, or when you feel elevated in these moments where you're needing to use your voice, it's easier
yeah,
because you're
yeah,
rubbing a little lower.
yeah,
And I find that I've learned to find the honest truth that's authentic to me.
right,
Which oftentimes I'm like, well, that doesn't feel good.
right,
Oh, that wasn't kind and loving, which I learned from you when you were raising your children. I was like, wow, that's so basic and simple and
yeah,
true.
yeah, right,
That didn't feel good.
right,
Oftentimes I say that to people if they
yeah,
jab at me, or you can tell they're uncomfortable and they
yeah,
say something to be funny and it's
yeah,
directed at you, and I'm like, oh, that didn't feel good.
yeah. Can we do that again
Yeah.
or start
And
over?
then they're like, wait, what? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
And along with that, the tool that I use, and I didn't relay the story that way because it wasn't the point. Um, is I used humor and my eyebrow going up, and I said, I'm like, so and so. I'm like, she said no, and then when she pushed two more times, I was like, nope, right? But I said it
Yeah.
with a funny tone, and I'm saying that because I also am thoughtful that I don't want to embarrass her,
Right.
but also like no, right? So the point of that is that you can use humor as a quick redirect, and the more that you play into what you're saying, it lets you both off the hook,
Right.
right? And so that's just another intentional learning piece, along with just saying to someone like, ugh. And so along with what you said, the way I would do it would be like, that didn't feel good. I don't,
Yeah.
I don't know what just happened there. Can we start over?
Yeah.
This is what I heard. What did you mean to say?
Yeah.
And the more that we kind of get in the nitty gritty with someone versus, we start off here, it's like, ooh, or
Yeah.
the humor aligns us,
Right.
right?
Or instead of just saying I'm fine,
Yeah.
I'm fine.
I'm not actually.
Well, if you weren't fine, what were you?
Right. Right.
Which I have to navigate with a lot of my brides because it's so many people have not had someone put makeup on them, and
Right.
your wedding day is a new look, and so oftentimes it's I'm fine, I think it looks good. I'm like, well, we can do better than that.
Right. You need to know for sure.
Yeah, my job is to help you feel your best, not make you feel fine.
Right. And that maybe also is the first time in her life that she's been asked and had to think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And doesn't have the language or words to describe what this feels like right now.
Right. That sounds challenging.
Yeah.
It can be.
I love a good before and after.
So our summary would be
I thought you were going to say, so our assignment is. No.
your assignment is just to look at your honest self review of how you're advocating for yourself, or if you are, and when you are, what that looks like, and if you actually got your needs met. If you actually got your needs met, and if you didn't, what need did you really need to have met that you might ask for differently next time? Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for joining us
Thank you.
on We Use Our Powers for Good. Please
Like, share, and subscribe.
and we'll see you in the next episode.
Goodbye.